A force is a push, pull, kick or lift of an object which results in an interaction between two bodies. Whenever a force acts on an object, the object will either change its state of rest or motion or can change the direction of moving object. It can also change the shape and size of the object. Due to small force, the object will move slower, and due to the large force the object will move faster, which means that force is directly proportional to motion for a given body. Due to When the total acting force is zero, then the pair of forces is called balanced force, while when the total acting force acting by an object is non-zero, then the pair of forces are called unbalanced force. By observing the motion of objects on an inclined plane, Galileo deduced that objects move with a constant speed when no force acts on them. He observed that when a marble rolls down an inclined plane, its velocity increases. The marble falls under the unbalanced force of gravity as it rolls down and attains a definite velocity by the time it reaches the bottom. Its velocity decreases when it climbs up, shows a marble resting on an ideal frictionless plane inclined on both sides. Galileo argued that when the marble is released from left, it would roll down the slope and go up on the opposite side to the same height from which it was released. If the inclinations of the planes on both sides are equal, then the marble will climb the same distance that it covered while rolling down. If the angle of inclination of the right side plane were gradually decreased, then the marble would travel further distances till it reaches the original height. If the right side plane were ultimately made horizontal, that is, the slope is reduced to zero, the marble would continue to travel forever, trying to reach the same height that it was released from. And further studied Galileo's ideas on force and motion and presented three fundamental laws that govern the motion of objects. These three laws are known as Newton's laws of motion. The first law of motion is stated as: an object remains in a state of rest or of uniform motion in a straight line unless compelled to change that state by an applied force. In other words, all objects resist a change in their state of motion. In a qualitative way, the tendency of undisturbed objects to stay at rest or to keep moving with the same velocity is called inertia. This is why the first law of motion is also known as the law of inertia.